podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
As a young sea demon matures, the narrator said, changes happen in the monster's body. You may notice your fangs getting longer, and you may have a sudden desire to devour human beings. These changes are perfectly normal and happen to all young monsters. Welcome to Of the Oldest Gods, where we discuss Rick Riordan's role as our godly parent.
I'm Raye from Cabin 12.
And I'm Charlie from Cabin 13.
I'm Erica, and I just Googled it, and it said that Persephone is cabin number 40, so I'm going to go with that today.
Great, that sounds perfectly correct in every way.
I love that.
I'm Carter, and I guess I would be in Cabin 6.
Heck yeah.
Nerds.
I guess. I don't know, it's like I've never really thought about this before, but like, I guess Athena cabin,
Come on, weren't we all like, oh, I'm an Athena kid because I like reading the books. You know, I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
No, literally, it's so embarrassing to say, but whatever.
I think I've said this on the internet before. I've never identified as an Athena kid, or like, I never identified as being like Ravenclaw, because I've always been friends with Carter, who is a smart person. And I just was never like, I'm a smart person. I just can't possibly fathom being a smart person. I know you're rolling your eyes. Let me compliment you.
Oof.
I mean,
I feel bad now.
Yeah.
You didn't know that you intimidated people with your intelligence, Carter? Surely you must have known this in your past 24 years.
I mean, if you're comparing yourself to someone else, yeah, I can definitely see how you would be like, maybe I'm not that extreme into that. It's fine.
Yeah, or like we had a friend growing up named Emma who would read like 7 500-page dragon books a month, and I was like, oh, I'm not a book person. Like, not the way Emma is.
What?
You know?
Yeah, no, that's an extreme. Just a little bit.
I'm not smart, but I was that book kid.
Yeah.
Now I can't read anything.
Aww.
Mood. That's such a mood, actually. Well, Carter, since this is your first time guesting on Of the Oldest Gods, we would love to get a little intro about you, your pronouns, and how you got into the Percy Jackson books.
Sure. I'm Carter. I use they, them. Percy Jackson books. I read them in elementary school as they were coming out. I have a pretty distinct memory of catching up right before The Last Olympian came out and reading The Last Olympian, like getting the hardcover copy for that and reading it very excitedly the summer after 4th grade, like several times. My family and I like went somewhere in like early June that summer, and I brought the book with me, and my parents were so irritated because I was not, like looking around and learning about other places and cultures, and I was instead really, really familiarizing myself with Rick Riordan's cartoon geography of Manhattan.
This makes so much sense. I relate.
You were probably on Maui, right?
I think we were actually in Japan for the first time. And like, it's not like I learned nothing or experienced nothing, but my parents were like very upset, and they were like, this is bad and wrong. But also, like, at that time, none of us spoke any Japanese, and it was I don't know. Anyway.
Percy Jackson is more important. Well, speaking of Percy Jackson, Raye. What happened in this chapter?
Me? You want me to do it? So
that's kind of your job, I think.
Yeah. I guess it is. So in this one, Percy sets himself on fire.
Just a little bit.
See, this is like one of the first chapter titles in a long while where I'm like, did that really happen, Rick? Not quite. Not quite. You just said it like that because it was funny. But anyways.
So really, every chapter title is clickbait.
Yeah. That is so true. Thank you for, summarizing that in a way I've never been able to.
Did Rick invent clickbait? Did he invent this?
Authors would call it a hook, but we know it's clickbait.
Yes. Thank you. Exactly. All right. So, we visit Hephaestus, some guy. He says Daedalus is a bastard and they should forget him, but he agrees to help out in exchange for a favor, as you do when you are a god. So, they have to go check out his forge, which so happens to be Mount St. Helens. Apparently there's a guy in there. Don't worry about it, it's fine. Grover and Tyson go on a side quest to go find Pan, despite Annabeth really insisting that they don't split the party, because that is always a bad idea.
Don't split the party!
Percy and Annabeth find some evil sea dogs, and Percy murders a class of children in the middle of the talk. They're busy making a bad vibes sword. Percy convinces Annabeth that she should put on her invisibility hat and dip out of there. And then a moment occurs, which I am sure we will discuss later in great depth. Percy gets covered in lava and he blows up and dies and stuff. And that's where we end.
Dies? Question mark. You know, maybe.
Don't worry about it.
Who knows?
I'm sure he's fine.
We can really think about this as the final BC chapter of the Riordan verse, as in, say it with me, before Calypso. There is a time in the Riordan verse before Calypso, and there is a time afterwards.
God, that could be spoilery a little bit, but
no, I want to leave that in though. That's a tease for next chapter.
It's so good. That's so good. Oh my god. Yeah. You're so right. I can't now. I can't think. Well, before we dive into this chapter, I think we gotta do our thing. We gotta talk about I can't even pronounce these things.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Telkines? Sure. Sure.
I mean, don't look to us.
Telkines? Something.
Let's get into it. So, in case you missed it,
Charlie. Oh, there you go. But I'm
I was trying to
I thought you weren't going to say it. I was
trying to segue into it, okay?
Alright.
It's probably Telekine.
Maybe? There's no pronunciation on here, which is wild. We're on the Wikipedia page, Carter, if you needed to know.
I just found a Vimeo page that is pronouncing it Telkines.
That sounds more Greek.
Definitely sounds
I would
more
believe
Greek.
that. That sounds correct to me in my brain.
Yeah. It is interesting that Rick spells it with the K, which is the Greek spelling, and Wikipedia is it's a CH actually. Interesting. So they're the original inhabitants of the Isle of Rhodes, not Rhode Island, the Isle of Rhodes.
Yeah.
Where the Colossus is from.
All right. We got interesting parentage. We got either Pontus, who's the ancient sea god, and Gaia, our Mother Earth, or the Pit of Tartarus and Nemesis, or they're the siblings of the Furies and were born from Uranus's blood. Okay.
Oh, Greek mythology.
Sure. I mean, if they're sea demons, quote unquote, the Pontus thing makes sense. I don't understand the other ones, but sure.
They're just ancient. That's all of that means. It means that they're real old.
So yeah, they have flippers instead of hands and heads of dogs. Rick, you got that right. That's good to know. Literally, there's so many possible names of them. They have names. I didn't know this information before. I've never looked them up until now. So
there may or may not be a limited number of them that all have individual names. Let's not get into that.
I'm not. It's
trying
not
to pronounce a bunch of bullshit.
It is. I'm not doing it. Okay.
They look a lot scarier in the Battle of the Labyrinth graphic novel than they did in my head. In my head, they were cute little blep blep seals. Yeah.
I just thought they were dog people. Just little dog persons with little flippers.
This is really the monsterification of them.
I haven't looked at the graphic novel yet. I own it, but I haven't looked at it, so now I'm scared. Alright, so this says that they were cultivators of the soil and ministers of the gods. Okay, cool, interesting.
So where's the forging come from then?
I'm wondering. I'm looking for that. Because they have a bunch of different roles here. There's that. Then there's the sorcerers and demons, which Rick definitely talked about.
Right, some evil magics.
Yeah, we got evil magic stuff. They had destructive eyes. The power to bring on hail, rain, and snow. And okay, they can shapeshift. They produced a substance poisonous to living things. Very descriptive. Thank you. And
looks like they made fields infertile by pouring the water of the sticks into the fields with their hands. I mean,
sure.
But
okay.
They were also artists.
They
did
artists.
metalwork, so that helps.
There you go. They made artists. They made artists. They made art.
That makes me think that Hephaestus is secretly the god of arts and crafts, as well as
I mean, he's the god of
forgery,
crafts, right? Crafting.
He is the god of my macaroni art in first grade.
We're gonna get into Hephaestus after this, so we're gonna talk about our good buddy Hephaestus. So they did make the exact things that Rick mentioned. We got the Trident of Poseidon. And we got, what is it? The Sickle of Cronus? Huh, I wonder, is that what they were maybe making in this chapter? It was shaped like a moon, right? Yeah, could be.
But this is the sickle of another guy, right? This is Kronos instead of Kronos? Kronos?
It's the Titan guy.
Okay. So this is it is the right sickle at least.
It is the one we're thinking of. It's not the god of time, dude.
All right. It's spelled differently here though, which I hate.
Yeah. I feel like Wikipedia doesn't usually do the K version. Rick likes the K version.
Okay.
I do think it's interesting that they also made something with the Cyclops, the Cyclopes, whatever.
And with Hephaestus to make the cursed necklace of Harmonia. That slaps.
Yeah, that's kind of important.
Apparently they've all had a falling out since then. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they had excellent workmanship, and then, people didn't like them because of that. Okay. Weird. They're the coolest, so you guys just hate them.
Since the gods are always jealous, we know this.
Yeah, literally, Zeus possibly killed them with either a flood or a thunderbolt, or Poseidon killed them, or Apollo became a wolf to kill them. What?
It sounds like a bunch of guys just used these same names to tell a bunch of different stories without worrying about,
It really does.
consistency whatsoever. Usually there's at least some more consistency than this.
Yeah, there's no consistency on what these things are, other than they exist.
And they are sea dogs.
Sea dogs. Again, that makes me think that they're gonna be adorable and cute, but now I'm scared.
Right, they sound incredibly cute, as described.
Well, let's move on to, I don't know how to segue here. Hephaestus. The less cute god.
Hephaestus.
Yo, he's a cutie!
Rick's just like, this man is ugly. Sorry.
That is part of his character, but also it feels a little mean.
He's big, he's buff, and he likes to build things. Okay?
Those are all attractive qualities. It's true.
So is it Hephaestus? Is it Hephaestus?
That's just in that one in Ulysses Dies at Dawn. He says it like that, once, really emphatically. So that's what always goes through my brain, specifically.
Okay, but the Wikipedia here, it says both.
Yeah, that does not surprise me.
Both are correct. I hate linguistics, actually. Alrighty. So many things. God of fire, metalworking, stonemasonry, the forges, art of sculpture, technology, and blacksmiths, and
macaroni
volcanoes?
Art, crocheting, embroidery, cross-stitching.
Nah, the fiber crafts fit under Athena, don't they?
Oh, you're so right. You're so right. Embroidery, cross-stitching, the loom, that's all gotta be Athena. You're right. / Arachne.
I mean, they can
Poor
work
Arachne.
together on these things, you know?
Can they?
You got to, in a lot of
She's
situations.
into Athena as well, as is, I think, briefly alluded to in the books.
Oh my god, because she's a craftswoman.
It's all
somebody
coming
to
together.
craft with.
There's a myth.
You want somebody to craft with. He's like smarter than most of the other gods.
Yeah, exactly. There's a myth where he tried to get with her. It didn't go so well.
Yeah, probably
Yes.
wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't like it. I'm pretty sure that in what is it, Percy Jackson's Greek Gods, Percy retold it, and I'm just like, how did you make this PG? How? Literally.
Oh boy.
He tried to rape Athena. Like,
They use the word rape in that book. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So either he's a child of Zeus and Hera, or he's just a child of Hera.
Huh. Good for her, I guess.
We
Girl power. Except
We
for the fact
stand-
that then there is no girl power afterwards.
I don't love Hera, but we stand like a woman who could just create a child with no man. Power to her. And yes, he's cast off Olympus by her. Fun times. Because, so many issues with this. Is it because he's ugly, or is it because he's disabled? Yes, the answer
Either is
yes.
bad.
It's real bad.
I think in most tellings, it's because he's ugly, and then he develops the disability because he gets thrown off.
Right, that was my impression.
Yeah. I thought I heard that it was like, could have been that he was born with it too, and then she throws him off too. But either way, not great. It's not great.
Nope.
But hey, we have a disabled god, and we stand. He's here. He's queer. We love it.
He is like, how can you not like Hephaestus, honestly?
I don't know how I feel about him, honestly. I will be honest. I mean, like, on one hand, he's a cutie. On the other hand, him, and wanting to get with Athena and, like, having this crush on Annabeth's mom. And I'm not talking about the Greek canon, obviously. I don't have personal feelings about the actual mythological figures of Greek mythology. But in Percy Jackson, like, he does have this long-standing crush on Athena's mom, who is, like, famously a maiden goddess. He obviously has tried to get with her, despite her repeatedly telling him no. He, like, almost borders on, like, a little bit incel-y for me sometimes at moments.
Not great.
Yeah, he's like obsessed with humiliating his cheating wife, who is only married to him because it was a political arrangement decreed by Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hephaestus is
he's
a
not
complicated
dealing
figure.
with it in the best of ways, but he is a man who has been fucked over by life basically constantly.
Wait a second. This Wikipedia page, I love it actually. We, under the list of consorts, we have Aphrodite divorced.
Oh.
Because there kind of is a canon divorce, possibly.
I didn't know that was allowed.
Because I'm pretty sure what is it? Yeah, he asked for the bride price to be given back as a way to, like, divorce her.
I see.
Because that's how divorce worked.
Does anyone remember why Zeus wanted Aphrodite to marry Hephaestus?
Because, she's the goddess of love and beauty. Everybody would want her. There would be arguments over her. So let's give her to that guy over there. Because, like, who cares about him?
I mean, I know that, but, like, was there a reasoning behind it? Was Zeus literally like, I want to trap her and, like, make her feel bad for being pretty?
It's just that he didn't want anybody to fight over her, and he knew that this guy did not care whatsoever, and so he wouldn't.
Yeah. There is a version where Hephaestus, I believe, maybe wants her, too?
Hephaestus is so interesting. I mean, all the gods are interesting in canon because they have so many different interpretations, obviously, different versions, different writers, different stories. But Hephaestus, particularly in the Riordan verse, is very interesting, like Carter said. Like, he's complex. He is, like, married to Aphrodite, but, like, does not appear into her, but also appears to be extremely petty. And I feel like depending on how much power he holds, and, like, we don't really know, but, like, depending on how you interpret him as having, like, high power or low power, like, high or low status, he's either this extremely sick, like, hot, sweaty forge man who's very talented and also clever and cunning, or he is this, like, slight incel, like, who is obsessed with, like, tinkering his way into getting revenge on people who literally couldn't care less about him. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I see both.
He's got layers, okay? He's an onion.
Like an onion. You beat me.
Yeah, but his other consort, who I believe is mentioned in either the Iliad or the Odyssey, is Aglaia, one of the Graces, actually. So one of like Aphrodite's handmaidens.
Messy.
Maybe she set them up. I want to believe that it was, nicer. He built a lot of things. Just like a lot of there's just a list here. The Hermes helmet and sandals, Aphrodite's girdle, Achilles' armor, literally like so many things on here. Wait, did he make Pandora's Pithos? Of course he did. Wonderful. I also do like, so we know he's got his automatons. He loves them. But, he has a bunch of, like, living, like, women automatons that, help him with his work and stuff.
See, that's a little incelly. Do you know what I mean?
It
like,
is.
That's a little bit, I'm gonna create the perfect woman who's gonna love me.
Yeah,
And she will not be a person, and she will be submissive to me.
That's something where your priors, I think, will heavily dictate how you experience that section of the book, because I feel like when I read them for the first time as a child, I was like picturing things that were very, like faceless and disembodied, and maybe had kind of sort of vaguely high-pitched voices or sounds that they made. But no, I fear that there are other relevant contexts for that. And even if it is just like a robot that is a little bit shapeless and has a voice that reads as female, like there is a vast literature in the social sciences about how we should think about that and what the implications of that might be for, social organization and labor policies and such.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack with this man. I do also love his return to Olympus. So this is when he gets revenge on Hera for rejecting him, makes her golden throne, which traps her immediately. And then he just like leaves, basically. Just like, no, I'm just gonna leave her there, and then I'm gonna bounce. And Dionysus is the one who's like, hey, brother, can you like free Hera, please? Like, we gotta get on with our lives. Come on, it's okay. I'm sorry, I just love that like imagined brother talk. He does get him drunk, though, of course, as Dionysus would. And that's one of the possible ways that like he ends up with Aphrodite, is that he demanded to be married to her in order to release Hera. Or he asked for this, or there's a version where he asked for Athena's hand. That didn't work out. I'm not talking about more of Hephaestus and Aphrodite. But the one thing about the Hephaestus and Athena thing is that does not happen. Instead, Hephaestus impregnates the earth when he tries to go after Athena. He just kind of like, boop, lands on the earth. And that's where we get, what's his name? Erichthonius, I believe. The guy who, founded Athens. Always a fun time. Yeah. And of course his Roman equivalent is Vulcan. Because volcanoes.
Like volcanology?
Yes.
This is the chapter where Hephaestus is like weirdly flirting with Annabeth, right?
Correct.
Wait,
let me just circle back to my Hephaestus incel comments.
By complimenting her mom and being like, it would be nice if she would marry somebody.
Little pitchy dog, little pitchy.
Alright, it's time to be anti-Rick's version of Hephaestus. Let's talk about this chapter, I guess. Alright.
Sorry about that, guys.
No worries.
It's cool. Alright, let's start talking about this chapter, my dudes. I was on the wrong one.
This is a packed chapter. I'm honored that you knew that we would want to talk about this.
I mean, there's that one sentence. I think it's only
it's kind
like
of the titular role.
3 words long, and yet it's kind of important.
Be careful, Seaweed Brain. I should probably put that on a shirt at our merch shop.
You should. You really should. All right. Well, I mean, before Percy sets himself on fire.
Yes, a bunch of other stuff happens.
Yeah. We have to actually meet Hephaestus.
I do think that there is an interesting conversation that I don't know that we have time to, like, fully get into right now, but, like, about like male privilege and the denial of that privilege and how that denial can kind of push men into like being more misogynistic and like these countercultures like incel culture that like a lot of disabled men and like autistic men will get involved in because they're not being treated the way that they were kind of promised by their society. And I don't know about you guys, but I do get like autism spectrum vibes from specifically this reading of Hephaestus. Just like this denial of other people and this preference for machines, and not that that isn't like a stereotype, but also not a stereotype that doesn't have like some merit, given the autistic people I know. love robots. But I do think that there is a lot of interesting stuff going on there that I don't know that Rick necessarily thought of, but I do think that the character in as a whole has this like denial of privilege that, you know, stems from being tossed off of Olympus, that I feel like informs a lot of his bitterness. That's all I wanted to say about that. He's here. He's working in a garage.
Yeah. Interestingly, I think he's working on my old car.
Really?
I think 98 is the year of my first car, Toyota Corolla. If it had said it was green, I'd be like, Rick, that's my car.
You had a green Toyota Corolla? Was it like dark green or was it like a light green?
It was a dark green.
That's beautiful.
Aww.
Yeah, it was a shit car. It was a really shit car.
As someone who's driven a Toyota Corolla for many, many moons that once belonged to my grandmother, love me a Toyota Corolla.
Absolutely.
It's like the state car of Hawaii.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, so we love that he's working on a car just randomly in here. He's got a bunch of stuff going on, and he just like, I guess, doesn't look as made up as he did on Olympus. I mean, yeah, Percy, he's gonna be like grimy and covered in grease. He's literally working on things right now. What did you expect?
Yeah, but the implication kind of seems to be that he makes up, like, his whole appearance, that, like, he kind of downplays his disability and whatnot when he's, you know, in meetings and stuff. You know, like putting on makeup.
I think that Rick has come a very long way in disability representation from Battle of the Labyrinth to, say, the Magnus Chase trilogy. Going from something like
I would
this
not
to
doubt it.
not using magic to sort of cover up or quote-unquote fix somebody's different abilities.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to Magnus in like 10 years.
Surely you have to read it. Oh wait, no.
I've read it.
Yeah, you're a Hearthstone. I was just talking to somebody else who like lives in Boston and has never read Magnus Chase, and I was like, what the heck?
How dare they? How freaking dare?
I do think that Hephaestus is an interesting example in that I don't like, all of the Olympians are supposed to be portraits of super beings that are flawed to reflect the ways in which society is flawed, and Hephaestus is good at that, and I think it makes clearer to the reading audience the flaws that exist in his like emotional processing. He has some of the rawest lines that maybe anybody has in these books around here. He is so jaded and has clearly never emotionally processed anything, maybe ever.
Yes.
In his
therapy.
life. In his immortal, like, I don't know. I find the writing to be very effective, and and it gives, I think, more of a way into what, like, the figurative placement of Hephaestus is clearer to me than I think it is for maybe a good number of the other gods that are portrayed in the books, where it takes a lot of thinking to understand both the combination of strengths and weaknesses that they are representing as co-varying together as a fundamental part of the fabric of the way that power and institutions work in, like, America. But Hephaestus is so clear. You can see all of those things wrapped up together beautifully and unmistakably. His damage, his strength, his...
Says, like, I didn't fit Hera's idea of a perfect family, a certain kind of family. she took one look at me and, well, I don't fit the image, do I?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's both obviously true, but also such Arrested Development.
I really appreciate that we did get this in this book after having seen Hera earlier,
Mhm.
and her representation of, like, very kindly and stuff, and then I think we really needed to get a bit more of her ugly side this book.
I mean, she's kind in a way, like she'll only help if she can, if she wants to. If she has the you know, I guess I'll help you. I guess, fine, I like you guys. You fit into my perfect family. I kind of already got the vibes. She's got that. Yeah, so he wonders if they're automatons for a second, and he's like, no wait, shoddy workmanship. Love that.
Of course. Tyson is the only one excited to be here, and Tyson is also the only person who Hephaestus is excited to see.
Yes, we literally love this.
Kindred spirits.
Beautiful. Amazing.
But also Tyson has that line where he says, like,
Yeah.
sorry, I don't want to jump ahead. Are we going, like, page by page?
Yeah, I'm going page by page, but yeah. Well, Tyson tells him about Biares, and how sad he is about that, and Hephaestus is just like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not surprised. This is kind of how it goes.
Oh yeah, that was really interesting, the way that he says that people, monsters, and gods all change, and you can't trust them. Very fascinating.
Do gods
take.
change?
Darian from the Muses of Mythology would say that they do not change unless humanity's perception and culture's perception of them changes, because they are only representations of what we believe them to be, the manifestations of our own beliefs.
I buy that. That makes total sense to me.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would think.
They don't seem to be even capable of developing their characters on their own. It's like they're stuck repeating the same old
They're
patterns
NPCs.
until there's some kind of paradigm shift. Exactly, yeah.
They're NPCs. Oh my god. Yeah. So the fact that Hera also, like, literally lies and is like, yeah, no, it's actually Zeus, that threw Hephaestus off. It wasn't me. Totally not. I would never hurt my family.
Damn girl. Cold.
Absolutely cold. So I love Percy's thought process where he's just like, yeah, I don't like this guy. He almost killed Annabeth and me with those spiders, and then he kind of killed Bianca.
Percy really said, I'm projecting my personal blame onto you for that one.
I think he should.
It wasn't my fault, it was his fault.
Absolutely. I would also blame Hephaestus.
I mean, he was involved in some kind of ways. Like, I'm not mad at Percy for being a little mad. I like Hephaestus's reaction to that. Oh, you don't like me? No worries, I'm used to that. A lot of the gods have very different reactions to that specific thing, and I find that really interesting. You know, like Ares is like, you don't like me? Good. Let's fight in the pit tonight. Meanwhile, Hephaestus is like over it, you know?
Like, yeah, you don't like me. What's new about that?
But it's not that he's over it. That's the thing. Is like, no emotional processing. He's like, he needs to make you feel more uncomfortable about it, and like,
yeah,
it's constantly externalizing his own trauma and like shoving it onto other people.
He is being plagued by both.
It's funny, it's funny to read, but he's so unwell.
The River Styx and Nemesis are like our patron saints of petty hatred and I will never forgive you energy. Holding grudges.
Oh, and holding grudges we just learned is like Hades child thing. Why isn't it a Hephaestus child thing? I think that makes more sense.
They're too busy building shit. They can't think about how they're mad about stuff because they're too busy building shit.
I remember when I came across that line about Hades children like being unable to let go of grudges, and I was like, yes, I so identify like Kevin 13.
Yeah,
so Kevin 13, yeah.
Yeah, you got something to say to me? Wearing my Kevin 13 shirt.
I was like, I'm full of hatred when I was 13.
And now, real.
But
still full of hatred.
I feel like I have more sympathy for Hephaestus as a character because I see the path. I see how he gets like this, you know?
I think he just needs to go to therapy and talk to his...
Well, they all do.
He needs to talk to his therapist, Dionysus. So, everyone's therapist, the god of therapy, Dionysus.
Isn't Dionysus the one who, brought him back to Olympus as well? Like, they've got a little
literally, that's
thing going on, yeah. Bro,
that's what I'm thinking. They're bros, literally.
They should be.
I'm still always gonna push.
I want that for them.
Dionysus being the god of mental health. That's just my new favorite thing.
You and Rick in one book, yeah.
So the fact that they want to go find Daedalus, Hephaestus is like, no, you don't want that man. He sucks. Do something else. Literally anything else.
And there's this interesting line where Percy is like, why? Why can't I go get Daedalus? Like, there's this guy Luke, he's really bad. And Hephaestus says, some of us get thrown off mountainsides. Some of us, the way we learn to trust people is even more painful. Asking for gold or a flaming sword or a magical steed, these I can grant you easily, but a way to Daedalus, that's an expensive favor.
That's writing.
Yes, that's suspense. That's like, you think I'm petty? There is someone way more petty out there, and you don't even want to dive into what made him that petty. Please, girl, oof.
Just don't bother here. Okay, is this where y'all were like, he's flirting with Annabeth? I want to...
The whole time.
Just the whole time?
I disagree. I do not get that vibe at all.
I would love to have not gotten that vibe. I really support any reading of this in which that is not your takeaway. I wish it was not mine.
I just got, he's like, a smarty pants. Who's your mother? Athena. And he's like, oh, okay. I know that goddess. I have other issues with her because I have grudges.
He's definitely weird about her mom here.
He's weird about her mom, but I didn't think he was weird about her.
He conflates her with her mother as a matter of course, but that's what they all do. I don't find it to be a hitting on her type of thing. It seems to just be an offhand comment to me.
Yeah.
A tasteless and annoying offhand comment, but
you can interpret things however you would like. I would like to not interpret that the way y'all do.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable with this reading.
I don't like it.
I know we all
I'm uncomfortable with this reading, and yet here we are.
I am the most uncomfortable.
Onwards. So yeah, Mount St. Helens. He used to like it. I guess that means he maybe went there before they went to the US. That's interesting. He had this as a forge before they were American gods. But yeah, then the monster Typhon moved there. I don't know if he's important. Maybe. It could be an important monster later. I don't know. But yeah, now he's trapped under that mountain, and it's kind of dangerous, so he doesn't use that forge. But also, it's there are some sus people maybe using his own forge? Okay. He just can tell that someone else is using it. Someone else is invading his space. That's kind of terrifying, actually. I wonder if they, cleaned up his stuff, and he's like, cleaned up my shit! I can't find anything! Yeah, so he's lost freaking automatons on this, but he's willing to let the Half-Bloods, go.
Of course. A god has never cared about their well-being.
It's a quest, right? It's a quest. They should go do it. And this is when we split the party.
Yeah, I always forget this is a really big deal because they're splitting up, which is never a good idea. And also, this quest was already weird because there were 4 of them.
4 people.
Mm-hmm.
They're only supposed to be 3,
right,
and so
bad.
Of course it would come to this moment where then they have to split up, and then it's also all messed up, and they're they have the opportunity to make it 3 in 1. Grover wants to go down and find Pan, but Tyson is no, I'm gonna go with him, and this is the line I wanted to talk about because we were talking about Tyson getting along with Hephaestus, and Hephaestus really liking Tyson, but Tyson really purposely distances himself from Hephaestus here, and Percy is can't believe that Tyson would volunteer to go with Grover because Percy doesn't really see Tyson as a full human being still. Let's be real. He's surprised by Tyson's independence, I would say.
Well, I don't think it's the independence. I think he's surprised because at the beginning of the book they didn't get along. Yeah. Percy hasn't noticed their slow character development throughout this.
They were afraid of each other.
Literally not paying attention to anybody but Annabeth this book. He is so distracted. Well, up until the next chapter. Anyway, Tyson says, Goat Boy needs help. We will find the god person. I am not like Hephaestus. I trust friends.
I love that so much. I love him. He is my delightful boy.
Tyson
It's
is
very
the
effective.
best.
We have to have the juxtapositions. Like, this is... The reason why it's useful and generative to have Hephaestus written the way he is because we have Tyson written this way, and then later we will have Daedalus written perhaps a third way that is also going to say things about the nature of humanity and change and agency and reconciliation.
And, like, isolation and trauma, yeah.
And isolation and trauma and, like, what it means to, you know, like, have difficulties connecting to people and to reconcile past harms with future opportunity. Like, all of these things are tied up in the way that these three characters are really, you know, in both simple and complicated ways, laying out these very, like, Tyson's words here are so clean and crisp and clear, and the character is not trying to give us all that. And it works. It really...
Yeah. I haven't thought about this book in that way before. Like, Titan's Curse was all about Percy not being a bad hero and, like, learning how to, like, not be Hercules and, like, fighting his, like, 13-year-old boy urges to, like, become an asshole. And then this book is about meeting all these people who have this, like, severe trauma and, like, have been treated in such a negative way that it could cause them to be distrustful, or, like, cause them to turn out like Luke and all of these things. And to see Tyson, for one, repeatedly be, like, seeing the good in people, and to believe that there is hope with some other gods who we're going to meet later.
Yes,
Very
absolutely.
good.
It's about dealing with trauma. It's about stepping into your mental, remembering that there's something worth fighting for, discovering that you are the person responsible for doing the fighting, even though maybe that's not actually appropriate, and maybe it's because everyone older than you has failed in some sort of fundamental way. But either way, there you are. That's where you find yourself.
Yeah, and you're unfortunately responsible for how you treat people. Unfortunately.
So this book is about dodging a different kind of toxic masculinity from the last book.
Exactly.
It's the same thing,
it's
but
a
a different flavor.
More evolved.
Toxic masculinity?
Well, toxic anything. Most of them are men.
It's like toxic responses to trauma, I think, is this book, as opposed to last book, is toxic responses to, like, expectations or something. Not to say that Hercules doesn't have any trauma, but he might as well not, right? Like, yeah.
Toxic ENFJ. As an ENFJ,
I love
say that.
I love this thematic and emotional discussion, but I'd like to detour to talk about tactics for a second. My thought here is that Tyson should have gone with Percy and Annabeth should have gone with Grover.
Okay.
They're going to a forge. Tyson is fireproof.
You're not wrong. You're totally not wrong.
Wait, but it's Annabeth's quest. She is the one who has to go, like...
Yeah.
She's not going to go leave and hunt for Pan. I guess maybe it could be Grover and Percy and Tyson and Annabeth.
But again, the empathy link means that Percy...
we can't have Grover and Percy, because they have the empathy link.
Yeah, they need to be split up, so...
I'm just saying, that's how I would have done it if I was there and doing a tactics meeting with these characters.
The problem is that Annabeth would not agree.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, so we split the party, and we'll see these two sometime in the future.
Splitting the party in the labyrinth is, like, the worst possible situation to do that in.
They've split up and they're in the dungeon. Is real bad.
The dungeon that moves around you.
Literally, they could never find them again. They could be lost.
Yeah, they're gone.
Forever.
Goodbye. I'll miss you.
Goodbye. Bye, Tyson. Bye, Grover.
Tyson and Grover, you were great characters.
We'll see you never. Okay, and then we have this really fun conversation. Raye and I have technically been talking about Annabeth's birth since forever. We're just like, that's not really a spoiler.
I was honestly surprised when this showed up. I was
it's
like,
hilarious.
Has this not come up until now?
Because this book is not only the book about toxic responses to trauma, it is, of course,
snacks.
It's the horny teenage sex education book.
Penultimate.
Penultimate.
Yeah, we are finally hitting puberty. It is happening. Sound the alarms.
Rick is so funny for this.
It's very well written. It's tight. You have the dispensation of important lore combined with the very subtle and yet obvious. You always knew this is how it was going to go down dynamic between these two people who are into each other, having to talk about sex and having to have a conversation in which clearly one of them is more comfortable than the other one, and like they are both trying to talk around something while also fighting for the center, like it's chess or kendo or something, you know, like Annabeth making the bold move of just cutting directly to the chase and being like, I am more comfortable than you, I'm controlling this conversation and winning, but also like, is she winning, and like, where does this leave us, and like, what does this mean about everyone's emotional maturity and readiness? Delicious.
14 question mark in this book?
Yes. 14.
Just about
to
freshman year
turn
of high
15
school,
for both of them.
which is when we are forced to have those really awkward classes that are important about like sex education and like puberty and like these changes your body are going through, like we're about to see on the next couple pages. So Rick is just so funny being a teacher, you know, knowing like, okay, this is the age that like my readers are going to find this to be really relatable and hilarious and awkward, and also realistically is the age at which Percy and Annabeth would be like, yeah, Percy, like my mom like is like aromantic and asexual and I was birthed from her head, does that weird you out? Thought you should know. And then having all these conversations, it's just so sweet. And like Carter and I were just talking on our show about or were we no, we were talking on our Patreon episode 6 of Crows, plug for our Patreon, about like the over sexualization of YA and stuff like that, and like this big conversation that's going on right now between middle grade and YA, and how there's like such a big leap between what middle grade content is and what YA content is when it comes to like relationships, you know. And this is just such a great and like funny and authentic and like gentle and sweet way to bring up the kinds of things that would be happening in a 14-year-old's life in a book that is like appropriate for children and won't ostracize any children or like make any children feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. It is very interesting that so we get the whole Athena was just born from Zeus's head. Again, like a lot of people, forgetting that, Athena did actually have a mom. Like, there's a little backstory of, like, how that happened. Zeus, like, swallowing her? I think he turned her into, like, a fly or something, and then swallowed her.
They're playing a game where he is asking her to turn into different things, and when she turns into a fly, he eats her. And the reason why, this is the favorite, like, this is the, like, Shiv Roy lens of Athena, which is that like Athena originally, like Zeus heard from some sort of oracle that his child by Metis, specifically I think that the oracle was saying that his son with Metis would do to him what he did to Kronos, right? That this would be the child that would dethrone him, or specifically I believe the oracle kept saying like if Metis gives birth to a son, he will dethrone you. And so how does he circumvent this? He eats Metis so that she cannot give birth, and also it's a girl. And so the girl doesn't dethrone him and becomes instead someone who is like clearly capable and talented, but instead has an auxiliary and servile relationship with Zeus instead, using all of that same power, but I guess perhaps having not the ambition, the social support to do the same kind of thing, perhaps having a different idea about the value of family and collaboration, and deciding to not, whatever the reasons, there is definitely the story of Athena jumping out of Zeus's head is a story about like gender politics and family dynamics and power, as well as a story about, whatever sapiosexualism and all that, whatever.
See, I just want Zeus. I just like this idea in my head where Zeus just gets, because Metis is still inside of him, inside of his head, I guess. What if he just like got so anxious and was like, what if that prophecy ever actually came to fruition? Like, what if it happened? And then Metis just like pops out another one. Like, it just becomes a thought. It's a thought child again. It could happen.
Yeah, there we go. Metis,
the
thought child impregnates herself and then escapes to finally end Zeus's reign. But also, we don't love that. But also, like, it should, like, if someone's going to end Zeus, it should be Athena. It should.
Absolutely.
And I believe there is perhaps an original musical coming at some point to somewhere.
I wasn't going to mention it. My roommate / me a little bit, mostly my roommate, may have been for years now working on a musical called The Laugh of the Medusa, which is based on an essay of the same name by Helen Sisu. That happens to have a lot to do with Athena and Zeus and relationships between daughters/children and fathers/makers and life givers, and what it means to try to escape from them when they created you in their own image.
Very interesting.
It isn't finished yet.
I love it. So yeah, I guess Athena is canonically Arrow Ace. We love, we stan. Does she just like see these men and be like, you're smart, I vibe, here, have a child? Is that it? Does she I wanna know what kind of relationship she has with them. Are they friends?
I'd imagine a series of really like intellectual and specific, probably lengthy conversations, in which they don't agree with her, but they really like battle, and they duke it out, and they prove their like wittiness and
Athena believes in the flirt roast ratio.
Oh yeah, like they need to be like lightly bullying each other. It's an ANNABETH. It's basically ANNABETH.
This also gives us the first allusion to, like, Rick has a conversation in book 5, The Last Olympian, that is a little bit extending the lore of this, where he has a line about how gods don't have DNA, and so you should not think about traditional biology when you're thinking about all demigods. But also, I think that this is a delightful way of Rick being like, I love ways of trying to literalize and imagine different relationships that people could have to the childbearing process, and particularly generative ways of going beyond the current biologically limiting ideas about what constitutes the creation of new life, because these things are probably temporary and not going to be the way that we will understand these social relationships in like 20 years, and probably not even the way we should really be socially conceiving of them now. And so this is like a delightful way to look at this and not just be like, oh, haha, Athena can have children this way, but also like all the implications about who Athena can have children with and what it means to create new life with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
How interesting and open, and I keep saying generative. It is a very generative piece of fiction to put out into the world when thinking about what it means to create new life. And
Athena herself is rather generative, eh?
It does imply that the father is involved somehow, that they are sprung from the divine thoughts of the mother and the mortal ingenuity of our father. So, I don't know how that works, but seems good to me.
I've never once questioned this. Do you know what I mean? I think it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't need a more thorough explanation than this. I'm fine.
Yeah, when you're having a conversation with someone and wow, that conversation is going so well, I just sprung a thought, baby. Totally get it, Athena.
Yeah. It's imagining a future with someone, but your imagination is, good, powerful. Generative.
Yeah, and then you just abandon your baby on that man's doorstep, and you're just
you
see ya!
Gift him your incredibly ingenious spawn that will make their lives better forever.
The
Different
goddess's blessing. You'd have to be so ungrateful to not be delighted to find your beautiful brainchild.
Exactly.
If you were not expecting it, you're like, we didn't even have sex. What's happening? Why are you gifting me a child? I'm
Don't worry about it, man.
In college. What's happening? Yeah. So there's lava. And now we gotta sneak up on some monsters.
Does Mount St. Helens have lava in it? Is it active in there? I was under the impression that it was kind of not.
It's dormant.
I couldn't tell you.
There's not lava actively flowing, and generally, also Mount St. Helens is not really the type of volcano that would have lava. I believe it is like a cinder cone, such that its eruptions would be primarily ash and dust and other particulate matter that would harden into solids before they were to actually come into contact with anybody. I should probably double check that to make sure that that's true. That is my rough memory of how this works. But I think Mount St. Helens is probably going to erupt at some point in the next 100 years, is my rough memory, or maybe it could be longer, but not dead forever. TBD.
It has the highest probability out of all U.S. volcanoes other than Hawaii and Alaska to erupt in the future.
Ooh.
There we go. That's why it's a good choice.
or something with Mount St. Helens. Wasn't there something? And then like everybody was like, "Oh my god, it's Percy! He did it again." Or am I forgetting? am I remembering this correctly?
That sounds
That's
right.
pretty funny.
That something happens.
I haven't heard anything, but I don't listen to the news, so it does appear that things are legitimately different in Percy Jackson world, though, because they don't just have global warming, they also have gods who are fighting and having a weird time, and that makes the weather odd. And so, like, Hephaestus says something about, like, Mount St. Helens, like, rumbling and bubbling and stuff in recent years because of this whole celestial unrest.
So it's actually the gods. They're the reason that it's gonna erupt eventually. It's their fault. So Annabeth just immediately is like, "I got this," and like sneaks off. Bro.
And Percy's like, "Excuse me?
What? What the fuck?" Just puts on her hat and like leaves him, and then he's just like, "Oh, okay. I guess I'm gonna hide in this cart. I hope they don't dip me into the lava."
And then the Tolkiens also have sex ed.
Yes,
Yes.
also having sex ed.
Right. I was thinking while I was reading this that this is like, it's so goddamn goofy, but now that you've like brought it up that it's like another sex ed talk in the same chapter, that's hilarious to me. That's delightful.
Oh my god, can I please read this interaction with the teachers and the
Go
telekinesis?
ahead.
Please.
"Now, younglings," the instructor said, "what is the proper name of our kind?" "Sea demons," one of them barked. "No. Anyone else?" "Telgates," another monster growled. "Very good," the instructor said. "And why are we here?" "Revenge!" several shouted. "No! Yes, but why?" "Zeus is evil," one monster said. "He cast us into Tartarus just because we used magic." And then there's more exposition.
God, it is so fucking goofy because it's like, of
I
course
love it.
Percy gets this exposition dump from a fucking sex ed class.
It's beautiful. And then they're called younglings, so of course my brain immediately just went to they're the children in Star Wars that Anakin kills. Is that what this room is full of, actually?
Well, I mean, Percy also kills a bunch of younglings with a sword.
Is
so-
that what's happening here? Is Percy Anakin Skywalker right now? And these are like the Jedi younglings?
It sounds valid to me.
I don't know enough about Star Wars to participate in this discourse.
I also barely know enough, but I've seen the movies, so that's
I
all
have
that
somehow
matters.
seen all of the movies, and yet I recall none of them.
Oh, they just wash over you.
It's valid.
Like a wave. Like the
It's very
tide.
valid. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so we got exposition dump. Oh, they made Poseidon's trident. And, you know, the greatest Titan weapon. Dun dun dun. We're not gonna
Dun,
tell
dun,
you what
dun.
it is, though. It's, you know,
I'm sure that will never come up later.
absolutely not. Again, the description of these guys looks cute, but they're actually gonna be terrifying for some reason.
So they're about to use the scrap metal that Percy is hiding in, so he has to jump out and, vaporize a bunch of dogs. A bunch of
Percy killed dogs!
adolescent dogs. It's so but he does get to say this super cool line, which is
He
new
does.
lesson class. Most monsters will vaporize when sliced with a celestial bronze sword. This change is perfectly normal and will happen to you right now if you don't back off.
Percy!
My god.
That's funny as fuck.
He's so funny.
I'm sorry.
He is so funny.
I love him.
My boy.
He thinks they're not going to be like super fast because they got flippers, but like they're actually like not that slow, surprisingly. But he's
Unfortunately.
able to get away and find Annabeth.
He's just like wandering around, just like running with a chicken with his head cut off, just yelling Annabeth's name. And she's like, "Stop
Annabeth.
it!"
Yeah, maybe don't do that. Maybe hide just a little bit.
And she literally goes, "Percy, what is your problem?" when he shows up.
Yeah, and then we get him being like, "You need to get out of here. You can escape. You can sneak away. I'll distract them because he's a self-sacrificing little asshole, and I love him."
Percy tells Annabeth that he has a plan, and then he's like, "God damn, I really wish I had a plan." I love my My horrible little guy.
Be careful, Seaweed Brain.
So yes. This very suddenly.
Yeah?
No elaboration. It just happens.
She kissed
All right.
me. What? What?
She didn't just kiss
That's
me.
it.
She glared at me like she was going to punch me, and then she did something even more surprising. She kissed me.
Beautiful.
Careful, Seaweed Brain. She put her hat on and vanished.
Ah.
I can't breathe.
She is so Spider-Man right now, and he is so MJ. You know what I mean? Or I guess this is Gwen? Is this a Gwen? No. It's all of them, right? The upside down one.
The upside down one?
I feel like they've all done it at some point.
Yeah.
But, like, they're Spider-Men. Of course they're going to be upside down.
Right, exactly. The film one that I remember is an MJ one, but
Yeah.
See, now I'm just
The
like,
Kirsten Dunst
I
Tobey
should...
Maguire one, is the original filmic depiction.
Do we
And it's
need,
MJ.
like, Annabeth in, like, Spider-Gwen outfit, going down and kissing Percy? I feel like that's the vibe that we need right now. That's the fan art.
Percy as Miles Morales, 100%.
No, that's the thing. It's the other way, because Miles actually turns invisible. It's like Miles is Annabeth, and then somebody... But probably not, like, film animated Miles at this point, because then, like, Percy isn't really a good fit for Gwen, but we'll iterate on that.
I was gonna say, Percy is not a Gwen.
It's just so baller of Annabeth. To kiss him and then immediately disappear. It's also so her abandonment issues to kiss him and immediately disappear. She's like, I will not be dealing with this right now. This is a problem for later.
Absolutely.
I want to know what her thoughts were as she's, like, running away down the caverns, like, down the tunnels. Is she just like, I can't believe I did that? I can't believe I did that. Ah! She's just screaming that into the labyrinth as she's, like, running away.
well, I don't know, because I feel like Percy does not know what the fuck is going on, but Annabeth does. Like, throughout this whole book, you know, they were gonna go on a little date that Percy says is not a date, but I think that Annabeth has been, like, building to this.
She wants you to think she has it together, though, but she really doesn't.
She has a plan, but I don't think she's prepared for the consequences of any step of the plan along the way. Like, she's not emotionally dealing with her successes because she is not in a place in her life where she's really emotionally processing much of anything, I think. And that's
She's
okay.
also the main character of her own story right here. Like, that's what I mean by, like, she is Spider-Manning. Like, she was like, I'm gonna kiss him and then run away. Like,
Right. So, like, Annabeth is running away like, God, that was so smooth. I can't believe I did that. Nice.
yeah, she was like, away. Like, that was amazing. He's so into me. Like, this worked really well.
God, I'm
Hope he makes
sorry,
it out alive.
Annabeth. I'm sorry to what happens later.
We're not there yet. This is BC. Please don't ruin my day.
She's in for it. Yeah, so, oh my god, Percy versus the Tolkiens, they're mad at him because, like, they built Poseidon's trident.
Right, so they don't vibe with my boy.
Mm-hmm. They want to see him sliced to pieces. But because they were cast into the pit, so they are angry. But, okay, Percy's lava-proof. Percy is lava-proof.
Who knew?
Can we explain this?
forgot.
I'm confused.
I forgot this
I think
existed.
he's lava resistant.
Right, exactly. Like,
Is it because volcanoes come from the sea?
Yeah, he's like extra full of water, right? Like he resists being
Right.
burned. I don't know. I went along with it.
it's like trying to set a damp log on fire. It's like, oh dang it, this is too
makes
waterlogged.
so much sense. That was a perfect analogy.
My brain was going to Pokemon things, but I don't actually know how this works. I'm just like, I assume if a fire one attacks a water one, it doesn't work as well. But if a water one attacks a fire one, it works better. But again, I don't know Pokemon.
That you don't actually
versus 2.0
yes,
multiplier.
You are correct. The words
Cool.
there are super effective and not very effective. You don't know Pokemon things?
I don't know Pokemon things.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Your
I'm
pop
dumb.
culture knowledge always, like, baffles me.
I'm very dumb, okay?
No. Like, I'm always very surprised by, like, how much pop culture you consumed in your childhood, and yet it is not at all analogous to the things that I think were, like, popular.
Wait, Ray, how old are you?
I'm 27 now, I think. Yes, that's
Wait, so
right.
you and Charlie are, like, roughly the same age.
Yes.
So it should be the same stuff, theoretically.
Theoretically, and yet somehow.
And yet somehow, listen.
Not that I'm one to talk.
I always say that I've always been kind of a hipster when it comes to the popular things. I'm not super into it until it's, like, died down and no one cares about it anymore.
Oh no, that's a big mood though. Like, it's been, like, a year and no one talks about it anymore, and then you get really into it and you're like, oh, where's the fandom for this? Like, y'all are done talking about this?
Like,
How
if
could
I was
you?
there first, it's fine. But if I'm not there first and everyone else is telling me, you gotta watch this, I'm like, I'm done. I'll see you in, like, 10 years, guys.
And see, I'm just slow. Like, I'm not, like, bitter. I don't have, like, the hipster thing. I just take forever to get to anything.
Fair.
That too. It's also very hard to start new things.
Big mood. Okay, so, interesting tidbit here. Percy thinks about using his ice whistle, but he does not trust it. And so...
Right.
Instead, he relies on his, personal, nigh uncontrollable inner sea powers.
The water is within me. Like...
What belongs to the sea will always return to the sea.
Oh my god. See, I'm just imagining him, like, turning into water, like the girls in H2O. Like, you know, they turn into water and then they become mermaids. Like, you know, that little flash. That's what's happening.
I love
as
Mermaid
he's using his
Percy.
powers. It's basically canon, right?
Yeah.
So he's calling to the sea, even though he's not near the sea, and he destroyed the volcano. Unclear. He won the fight. He died. He's a comet hurtling towards Earth. Like, there's so much happening in this one, like, paragraph.
He's really lucky that he's heat resistant, because water and, like, lava and superheated steam is all very bad and you will die.
I want to know if y'all think he's using his, like, Dad's Earthshaker abilities here, or if it's just purely water.
I mean, we get afterwards additional explanation, right? I don't know if we should be
I can't
talking
remember
about that. It's
I don't
everything.
know exactly.
It's all of the above. This is like a basically subconscious fight or flight, you know, balls to the wall. All of the powers are being unleashed at once, and he's doing something that is at a scale that we have not seen before. This is really exciting, specifically because
it is.
We're ratcheting up the stakes. This is the kind of demonstration of power that you probably should be having in the penultimate book, roughly half to 2/3 of the way through. And also, why is this happening? Because it's not like a bunch of, like, water dog people is, like, the most difficult threat that he's gotten, right? Like, what we're seeing here is an emotionally mediated response to a traumatic, or, you know, like, a difficult situation. He's not unleashing more power than ever before because he needs to literally explode the volcano and become, like, a superheated missile in order to get out. He's doing it because
you know what? I'm sorry.
Emotional.
Yeah, emotional.
God, I cannot.
Good one.
You know what I'm imagining Percy turns into, like at the end of this, where he's like, I was a comet or whatever. I'm imagining in Lilo and Stitch.
Yes. Absolutely.
When Stitch is, like, going on fire, like, towards the sky. Literally, that's the moment. That's what I'm imagining Percy's doing. But in reverse. He's going towards the ground. Oh my god. Yeah, well, that's the chapter, my dudes. We sure did it.
We did it. It's jam-packed.
There was too much.
It really is. Like, for emotional things happening, everything happens. The plot has moved. The paradigms have shifted.
Absolutely. They've literally shifted. This is the first kiss.
Yeah. Is Percabeth the greatest love story ever told?
Shout out to that. That's a delightful throwback to literature, to you know, famous works of the cultural criticism canon. And
wow, that's an amazing question. Wait, who asks that again?
I don't
What
know.
incredible contribution to the canon. What is that called again? It's like a podcast, right?
I think so. Yeah, it's got a couple of hosts. They might be super big nerds. Hey. Yeah.
It's called
It
Seaweed Brain.
is.
Carter and I host a podcast called Seaweed Brain. You guys should listen
No
to
way,
it. Find us
really?
on all platforms. That was our plug.
I was gonna say, where would you like the people to find you now that we are done discussing?
Seaweed Brain Podcast on Instagram, Seaweed Brain Pod on Twitter, as long as that lasts, and Erica.seaweedbrain on TikTok. You can listen to us on all platforms.
Hey, love that so much. And last but not least, if y'all have been consuming any media lately that y'all would like to plug on the pod, what would you like? Oh, you forgot.
It's like really open-ended.
I forgot that you guys asked this question. That's the best question.
Yeah, just any fun media that you've been consuming lately.
Sometimes it takes
just
us
like
like
anything.
15 minutes to do this segment.
I can go. I have a book and a show recommendation.
Ooh.
The book recommendation is the Poppy War Trilogy by R.F. Kuang. Shout out to you, Rebecca. You are my hero. You take names. You're incredible. And this trilogy has been out for a few years now. They are lengthy. They are dense. They are violent. So definitely only read if you are ready for something, a fantasy that is historic, very heavily historically influenced, and also does not shy away from the violence that was present during particularly the Sino-Japanese War. That is what the books are based on and surrounding. But they're incredible. It's sort of like Avatar: The Last Airbender, but much more violent. And if you're an adult who likes to read denser, higher fantasy works, it's about a bunch of shamans and a series of wars, and it is about the atrocities of wars. It's amazing. It features a very, very, very angry female protagonist. Yes.
It's next on my official reading list.
Very good.
Per Erica's assignment.
Yay! And my show rec is on HBO Max. For anyone who has HBO Max, it's called The Climb. That's right. It's Jason Momoa and Chris Sharma's climbing competition show. It's incredible. It's beautiful. There are 8 episodes, diverse contestants from all throughout the climbing world. They're all amateurs. Carter, stop laughing at me!
Hey, Erica, who got you into climbing?
My favorite thing is when Erica starts talking about a Jason Momoa property that I have never heard of before. No one has ever mentioned it before, maybe on the earth. But she knows it well, and she can explain the whole thing to me, and I'll be like, that sounds amazing for someone who is not me, because they're not going to watch it, but shout out to the people who do, because somebody should be watching that, and it's content that should exist in the world.
It's just beautiful to have on. It's just one of those competition shows similar to Physical 100, where everyone's just so nice and respectful of each other, and technically it is a competition, so there are high stakes, but everyone is so supportive, and they all bond together during the competition, and they fly all around the world to do different kinds of climbing in different settings, so it's beautiful to watch. 10 out of 10 recommend.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who got you into climbing so much, Erica?
Darian from Muses of Mythology. Also, throughout my life have tried to take me climbing, but this time it finally stuck.
Oof.
We're not going to talk about it.
I'm going to do 2 recs that really are, I shouldn't even say recommendations. The 2 pieces of media that I've been thinking about the most and mulling over and turning over and processing are both Hulu romantic comedy properties, which is not, I think, actually very in character for me, and is something that, again, I want to ideologically and politically separate myself from what I'm doing. As I'm thinking about these things, I think that they're interesting works that are contributing something that I have not yet resolved all of my feelings about as coffee table centerpieces of my discussions with friends. One of them is called, oh my god, Rye something. Why am I blanking on the name? Rye Lane is the name. It came out this year. It takes place in London, and it is about 2 people who meet. One of them is crying in the bathroom, and it's following the 2 of them along basically for a day of wandering around the city and helping each other work through their very, very recent breakups in different ways. I found it very affecting. The filming is very interesting. They, have a lot of cutaways to heightened scenes that really work for me, because I don't know. It's a fun technique. The other thing, I don't know if I should be mentioning this, but I literally cannot stop thinking about it, is, and I'm also going to forget the name. Do I know the name?
Up Here?
It's Up Here. I just had to Google it again. Yes. there's something about like Lopez, Anderson Lopez, where like these are the people who did Frozen. These are the people who did so many things. Like they are arguably, would you say, Erica, like the most in popular crossover demand musical theater composers of the current moment? No, would we disagree?
They're
Do you
in
think
the
it's
top
Lynn?
4. I mean, it'd probably be Lynn, Alan still, and
And then
maybe
Pascal
Shaven
Paul.
and Whitman.
Oh, Shaven and
Pascal Paul
Whitman.
probably number 2. I would say Alan Menken, and then Lin-Manuel Miranda, and then Pascal Paul.
Is Alan
and
like
then
active right now?
Anderson
What is he
Lopez.
doing these days?
He's a bit more retired, and then
Okay. Okay, this is to say that these are people who are like important in like musical theater, and specifically musical theater translated out of the theater and into different media, like Frozen. That is something that I think for a certain generation of people defines their relationship to musicals, and for a lot of good reasons, and like a few maybe not so good reasons. This is very different for them. It is very like it is about two people in like a weird situationship that continually evolves. This is when we're really like, I'm not going to say that it's good. I have very unresolved feelings about it, but I cannot stop thinking about the show. And how like I just need I've bugged about a bunch of people about this. I like need more people to talk to me about this so that I can resolve my feelings about the show and have more of a comprehensive understanding of like Lopez, Anderson Lopez, because they're clearly like very important cultural figures who have written some things that I've really, really enjoyed in the past, and I just cannot like it's so personal to them, this project, and has such variation within it in terms of things that work and things that I feel like don't work. I just needed to talk about it with people, and instead have just been thinking about it and coming up with weird, grand, overarching hypotheses about the future of musicals and the romantic comedy and their work, and how Idina Menzel is like a singular performer in the world because of my thoughts about the show, which I've shared with no one until now. So there we go.
Lots building up there, Carter. Lots building up.
I love that. Thank you. I'm excited for more when you resolve some of those thoughts. Charlie, did you want to go?
Yeah, well, I just recently rewatched all of Steven Universe, so I'm
Good.
gonna plug Steven Universe Future. I feel like it doesn't get enough love, and also, I probably should not have watched it, while I was in a weird mental state, because damn, that show fucks you up.
Yeah, dude.
You know, if you want to know how like being a child protagonist and saving the world can fuck you up, watch Steven Universe Future.
We love that exploration of trauma.
Literally, it's just hey, trauma.
Rage and trauma.
Female
Generational trauma.
Post-traumatic stress.
The trauma. I like that it was a movie about trauma, and I like that it explored it through generations.
This is Jamie Lee Curtis, for those of you who don't know. Anyway.
Yep, it's about trauma, but you know what? The only spoiler I will give you is that yes, Steven gets a therapist. We stan.
We love therapy. Woo! I love my therapist.
All right, Raye, what you got for us?
I have a little one here. I don't know if you guys know Bill Wurtz. He is an musician / artist / YouTuber. I see
you have
Carter
to give us
is
the
familiar.
foundational work. Like, everyone knows who Bill Wurtz is. You listeners know who Bill Wurtz is because he made.
You have seen the history of the entire world, I guess. Or the history of Japan, which also slaps and got kind of overshadowed.
The history of Japan!
That
Which
one
was
is
the
so
OG.
good.
I remember being there when the history of the world
Absolutely.
dropped and being like, wow, interesting.
I remember
He spun this.
seeing
This is what he was
memes
doing
of it
next.
on Tumblr constantly after it came out. That was all we talked about for a while. No, but he also does songs, lots of them. They are stylistically very similar to the little jingles that you'll find in those videos, but there's one called Mount St. Helens is About to Blow Up, which is why we're talking about it right now. But his style and lyricism are like almost surreal in that they are mimicking this hyper consumerism while kind of and like hyper like normative while moving it into directions that you don't expect it to. And so it has like this jazzy quality while not really having that tone to it. It's very interesting. Like one of the lines in Mount St. Helens is about to blow up. All right, so the line that I was really feeling is during the bridge, and it's like, I'm riding a pony into the sunset. Everything's green and gold, so I'm not in hell yet. And it's it's all very like that. It's like the people who work in my office went on vacation because they say I haven't been paying them very much anymore. And it's all just very, very corporate, very consumerist, but then using that to like twist it into a way where like even if the lyrics aren't that deep, you get these kind of like very deep feelings out of them anyways. It's really impressive. You should definitely check out some of his music. That's all.
Amazing. Beautiful. We stand. Well, my friends, I'm sorry, I'm gonna need y'all to get the fuck out of my cabin because I'm gonna go kiss this person I have a crush on and then like run away.
That's so relatable. It might be among the most relatable things she has ever done.
And then maybe I'll go blow something up, I guess.
I don't think that Matt has delusions of grandeur, just a god complex. Thanks for being our patron, Matt. You can follow this podcast socials at Of the Eldest Gods Pod on Instagram and Tumblr, and at Of the Eldest Gods on Twitter. You can send us an iris message through oftheeldestgodspod@gmail.com. If you'd like to support us financially, join us at patreon.com/oftheeldestgods. By becoming a patron, you can join the Deus Ex Media Discord server, where you'll be able to chat with us and other listeners about episodes and anything Percy Jackson related. Our $5 patron tier also gets you access to Against All Odds, our monthly bonus show. There, we'll talk about a wide variety of topics, which usually have something to do with mythology. No promises. You can check out our merch store on Redbubble to find custom designs made by Charlie. Or if you cannot or do not want to support us financially, we'd really appreciate a rating, a review, or letting your friends and followers know how much you love the podcast. That really helps. You can find me, Raye, at HeyHeyRaye, spelled R-A-Y-E, on Twitter. If you want to hear more from me, check out Barbie Movie Slap, a podcast where my co-host Ted and I discuss Barbie's cinematic universe. That podcast Twitter is at Barbie Slaps.
And you can follow me, Charlie, at GreenPixie12 on most platforms, but on Twitter I'm at GreenPixie123, which I'm totally not salty about. I also have an art Instagram at GreenPixieDraws. I sometimes do the YouTube thing on my channel, Charlie Mac. That's M-A-C-K. Our music was written by Isabel Strauss-Riggs and recorded and edited by Ian M. Riggs. You can find Izzy at Kane_I, that's I as in the body part, on Instagram and Twitter. She also currently makes video essays on the YouTube channel Kane I. Feel free to message her about making music for your project or editing your podcast. Of the Eldest Gods is proud to be a part of Deus Ex Media, which features great podcasts like Super Scary, a love letter to superheroes, sci-fi, and horror movies, hosted by Josh.
Do you love to be super scared? Do you enjoy listening to hilarious hot takes on timeless classics? Well, fear not, listeners. I'm here! Welcome to the Super Scary Podcast, where we cover everything from the supernatural to the superpowered. I'm your host, Josh, a scaredy cat nerd who enjoys superhero, sci-fi, and horror movies way too much. Whether I'm processing my trauma from Texas Chainsaw Massacre or reminiscing on the nostalgia of Hocus Pocus, my guests and I have a hilarious time going through our favorite and sometimes not so favorite moments. I'm your friend till the end, listeners, because everyone's entitled to one super scary podcast. We post weekly episodes on Mondays, and you can find us at Super Scary Podcast on all the socials. See you in the afterlife, listeners.
Of the Eldest Gods is based on the series by Rick Riordan. Right now, we are discussing Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Remember to follow us on your favorite podcatcher and meet us back here every Thursday.
Probably the more relevant PJO backstory is that I spoiled several things in the Heroes of Olympus for Erica. Specifically, I believe I spoiled immediately, like a day after the book came out or something.
How dare.
It's okay.
dare.
Now I spoil every book, movie, and TV show I watch for Carter as soon as I watch it. So we're even.
And it's very useful.
Yeah. I feel like if Carter's seen something, I don't necessarily have to see it. I hope Carter feels the same way because we usually describe in depth what things are.
Symbiotic.
Yeah.
I love it. Amazing.
Deus Ex Media.